Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me again for another episode of Top Cinco Pod. And that is literally at Top Cinco Pod. And that's on the platforms as following X, that is on YouTube, and that is also on... Oh, fuck, I fucked it again, didn't I? Why do I always forget what the three platforms that they're on, mate? It's really not that hard. I don't know why I always fuck it up. But yeah, it's on YouTube. We are on X, and then we're on Instagram, and that literally is at Top Cinco Pod on all three of those platforms. And then
available on Apple Podcasts as well, Amazon and Audible.
Yes, and that was done in the last week. So thank you very much to Jimmy for getting us rolling on that. If you'd like to introduce yourself as well, bro, and then we can get into it.
Yeah, good to be back. Dialing in from Canada, the land of the free, the real land of the free. I'm wearing a Monaco shirt because they beat Barcelona, but also it's Canadian colours as well, so it works on two fronts.
It's actually a nice top, to be fair.
It's pretty hard. I mean, I got it for like the equivalent of £10.
Yeah, that's mad. Absolutely, still. I'd definitely be rocking that if that was 10 quid. So fair play on the Monaco drip there, bro. Right then, let's get into it for this week. We're gonna start off with a little chat about footballers that have been involved with drugs, whether that's banned, and it's going to be an interesting one because J. Emmanuel Thomas was the latest one that hit the news last week. I think it was like middle to the end of last week, where he has managed to get himself arrested, and he's been involved with, I think, a seizure of cannabis up to the value of £600,000. So it's looking a bit sticky for him. Why do you think that these footballers do this kind of shit, James? Like, Jimmy, sorry. Well, what is this all about? Like, why would you fuck around with that shit when you're a professional footballer?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, do you know how, or do we have any idea how much money he makes? A week, or how much does he bring in? Because I can only imagine that he was dipping his toes a little bit into that because of for financial gain. But there's also been plenty of examples where it's not necessarily that either. So
yeah, I mean, the last club that he was playing for was Greenock Morton, and they are in Scotland. I don't know what division are they, like
Greenock
Morton. There you go. Scottish Championship, 5th. No, that's... So it's not obviously a club where he's going to be making big money. He's probably if he was involved in that and he was like obviously doing that on that scale, that's clearly his breadwinner there.
Yeah.
That's what's bringing him in the big cash compared to him doing his job of being a professional footballer. It's also very, very risky when you're a high profile like that as well. Do you
think at that level? I guess he's definitely more high profile than not. But I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things. Like there's always going to be people that resort to that kind of life. I guess so. I guess it shouldn't be too shocking. It is still always a story whenever a footballer does it. But I wonder sort of why. Like it's always going to come from someone. It would only be shocking for me, really shocking at least, if I don't know, you found out Ibrahimovic was selling coke or something. Like that would be like shocking because I'd be like, why is he doing it? But I guess playing for a low division team in Scotland is, I mean,
and then doing
it's got to be really low, like maybe like minimum wage almost, like or not far off it. It won't be a lavish lifestyle at all.
But it's mad. I know he's probably coming like towards the end of his career as well, so maybe he was just like, you know what, fuck it. Like, it is what it is. But we're gonna realize.
How long has he been doing it for? Maybe this is something he's been doing since he was his whole life, and he's just been caught now. Who knows?
Well, after he was like, obviously he was at Arsenal, Blackpool, Doncaster, Cardiff, Ipswich, Bristol, Queen's Park Rangers, Milton Keynes, Gillingham, and then he went abroad. He went to Thailand, I believe, in 2019. Then he was. Yeah, he went to Thailand in 2019. Then he came back to the UK, went to Scotland, 2021 season, Livingston. Then he went to Aberdeen. Then he left the country again for a year, went to an Indian team.
Fair play.
Went to an Indian team, Jamshedpur. Played 17 games for them. Then back to England, Kidderminster. So that's like National League, I believe. And that's like Worcester area. And then ended up back in Scotland, where he has been caught with this charge, mate. So
yeah, it's mad.
Do you reckon he's going to do time? That's the first big question.
mean, it's what do they say? The sort of headline said it was like 600,000 quid's worth of drugs, right?
Yeah, street value. Yeah, I believe so.
Street value. So realistically, it's probably about 200 to 300. You know what the headlines
and guess where
do, like
found in suitcases arriving at Stansted Airport from Bangkok.
Oh wow!
So
he was trying to bring it back from Bangkok.
Those links from when he was over.
Yeah, for sure.
In Thailand, like, you know what I mean? Was he being a businessman?
That's so funny just to think.
And it's
also, no, I don't believe at all he had a genuinely 600K's worth of fucking weed in suitcases. I'm not buying that. I think he had a lot. They always exaggerate the amount.
He was taken to Carlisle for questioning and was set to appear before Carlisle magistrates, accused of importing 60 kilograms of cannabis worth an estimated £600,000.
60 kilos. So that's like 2 entire suitcases then, with no clothes in it, just weed.
Bonkers.
Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre if that's true. If he thought he could get away with that is fucking ridiculously stupid. I thought there would be, you deserve to get caught, and yeah.
We'll have to see we'll have to see what happens with him, mate. That was a mad story.
But yeah, I think jail. I think you go to jail for doing that. How do you not go to jail?
It's a lot
for doing that.
They'll have to make an example. If he manages to like bust case, people will be like kicking off, man. I think it's not.
There's no way you can do that.
They'll have to try and make an example of him, won't they? So
for sure, he just should be grateful that he got caught in the UK and not on the Thailand side. That's what he
might have been able to bribe his way out of that, though. No,
maybe, but you hear about fucking Thai prisons and shit, don't you? Banged up abroad. You've all seen that.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And the Thai prisons are rough. They are rough, man. Fucking piss and shit everywhere. Yeah,
not a nice place to be. But now we're talking about footballers and drugs. You know, I thought we might as well kick off on this topic of footballers and drugs and go through some of the names that, you know, some of the big names that have been done for actually taking drugs. Because obviously with him, he's, you know, that was importing, but these lot have actually been found with either drugs in their system, basically failed drugs tests. Adrian Mutu was one of the first ones that springs to mind. Do you remember that Chelsea striker?
I do. He was one of the do you think that was probably like the start of the Chelsea number 9 curse, wasn't it? Was Kesman?
Yeah.
Like that was where it really just didn't work. Yeah. It was always a failure. But yeah, his is funny. Cocaine is just like, wow.
Well, you're just like, this is Romanian geezer as well. Do you know what I mean? He was banging, He started off sharp. He was banging goals for Chelsea, and it's like,
it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting because it's like, it doesn't, obviously, you know, Maradona's probably the most famous case of cocaine use in football for sure. But it also, like, what is I guess maybe because it's illegal. But like, what is, it's not going to give you, there's no performance enhancement out of like smashing gear and then going and playing football. No fucking way. Like, it's not like steroids.
Obviously, it's not.
No way.
Yeah, I've never like.
No way. It's not. It's not. From what I've been told about it, it's not something that would benefit you at all when you're playing football or any sport for that matter. Or any sport, it would be like one of the worst things. You know, your heart's already going. So it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary to do cocaine and play football. To be fair,
play football. Yeah, when you think about
fair play.
It would be absolutely mental.
West London boy, what are you going to do?
We've got Rio Ferdinand as well. He was another one. There was always that big question mark. Did he, didn't he? Because he just missed the test, didn't he? That's what it was. And it was like, well, there's no smoke without fire sort of thing when it came to that, I believe.
100%.
This was like when we were younger. It was like we were quite young as well when this happened.
Yeah.
So It's just like,
You think of something so important and what
mad.
the ramifications of missing it are. Like
Yeah,
you would have been reminded constantly. It wouldn't have just been like all on you to remember. Nobody forgets. It's like the most famous case of
yeah,
someone forgetting it. It was like 20 years ago. So it gives you an idea of just how often or how much they must be told, because footballers aren't
yeah.
known for their intelligence. So, and yeah, if players like Jack Grealish aren't missing the drugs test, you're missing it intentionally for sure, because that guy gets them done, and
It's like Jack Grealish.
he's dumb as fuck. So,
Uh,
so yeah, no, Rio was definitely on something for sure, 100%. The
yeah.
ban he got was that I
Quite
rate
lengthy
Rio
as well.
Ferdinand as a footballer like so much, one of the best centre backs I've ever seen. But Rio Ferdinand as a man, I'm not sold
Not
on
having him.
at all.
Okay,
Not having him
fair.
as a man. No,
There's a few people that are like that, to be fair, but you can't be everyone's cup of tea, I guess.
he's really cringy for starters. That's one, and then there's the stuff about what he did to his dying wife and all that stuff. And
Oh god, yeah. We
anyway.
won't. Let's not get into that today. But anyway.
Yeah.
Pogba and Fred. These are all. There's a little theme going on here. We've just gone Ferdinand, and we talk about Pogba and Fred.
Yeah.
But obviously, Fred wasn't a Man United player at the time. Fred's
Neither
one was
Pogba.
weird because, yeah, true actually. Fred's one was weird because he. What I was trying to find here. He. I can't even say the name. I'll be completely honest with you. But this was in 2015, Copa America. He was banned for a year by the CONMEBOL. That was a ban that was just for international football. So he literally was just banned. He was banned for a year, like internationally. So that's that was a weird one. So you still play for your club, but still got that attached to him. Pogba's one was obviously that was mad.
Yeah, that was like steroids, right? Like whatever it was called.
Yeah,
steroids.
Yeah. It's just like doesn't cover himself in glory, does he? And in he's constantly getting got at by pundits. Souness in particular, and then he goes and does that, and you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake, poor man, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, really disappointing. And what he could have been to what he's became is sad. It's sad.
Do you think he'll come back? How long has he got left actually?
I don't know, but he was getting. I think obviously only he will know the full extent as to why he took them. But my understanding, he'd been having a lot of injuries since going to Juventus. He'd barely played since going back again.
Yeah.
And he obviously had problems at United as well. He was getting injured.
Yeah.
But at Juventus, it seemed to get even worse. And then I'm guessing he was, looking at like, I'm going to take these for like recovering and I guess the idea being I'll come back stronger so that I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get injured. But obviously, that is not that injuries are an intentional part of the game, but they are part of the game. And if you're creating a system where some players aren't going to get injured because they're taking illegal substances, then it's like that is a form of cheating. Not just your competition at your own club, you're also cheating other teams when you're taking something to make yourself stronger than what they are naturally.
100%.
It's not as egregious as match fixing and things like that, but it is definitely a form of cheating, in my opinion, for sure, to give yourself an unfair advantage. But also, I'd just say fucking let them take steroids in football. Who gives a shit, really? Like, what?
Imagine
if
it's
not the UFC or boxing. You should just let them take, whatever EPO or whatever it is that makes them.
That could be chaos. That could actually be
chaos.
No, but it's not going to be great entertainment.
It won't be. People won't take the ones like. It'll be like the one that like Lance Armstrong is. It like EPO, the blood doping, so you have better endurance. No one's going to want to put on more muscle because it's just going to drain you. Like. You'll be exhausted super quick. So it'll just be
athletes.
Football can be played at a better pace. Yeah.
As if the pace in England wasn't mad enough.
If
the pace in England isn't mad enough.
Let's go for it.
A couple of other names. Let's Pep Guardiola. For those, there's a lot of people that probably don't know about that one. Yeah, mate. Pep Guardiola when he was a player at Brescia. So he ended up with he tested positive for Nandrolone shortly with the Italian club. He was banned for 4 months, but apparently later cleared his name on appeal. You know,
Okay, dodgy.
appeal City. They're going to be appealing something soon as well. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
Pep loves it,
I'm going to be
and he
honest,
had
this
a
is making me
7-month
suspicious
suspended
of.
prison sentence.
Whoa, he's a dodgy
Yeah,
bloke, Pep.
yeah, and it said here on appeal, and also had his 7-month suspended prison sentence overturned.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're saying it. That obviously that Pep's clearly cheating at City as well. And I have to say that I agree with you. It's not just the
Oh,
finances;
Pep,
it's
Pep,
actual.
Pep,
Imagine if
Pep,
that came
Pep.
out as a scandal that he's actually been getting like he dopes with all of his teams. He gets all of his teams to dope, and that's why they perform as well as they do. Imagine there's
Oh
a
my god,
conspiracy.
the Pep Guardiola effect there, that would be absolutely mental.
Yeah, it turns out he's a really shit coach. He's just a really good like administrating drugs.
Have you seen I watched him in the City documentary as well. He's just a madman, you
Yeah.
know. His
It's a
energy
literal
is
lunatic.
crazy, but
Yeah.
he's
It's so
just a
weird.
madman.
It's very pompous. It's very pompous. He's lucky he's Spanish. If he was like an English guy behaving like that, people would be like, "What's wrong with this guy?
People
What
ain't
is wrong
having
with
it. They'll
this
be
guy?"
getting rinsed.
No, they wouldn't be having it at all. They'd be like, "He's fruity because he's Spanish." It's like, oh yeah, no, he's just passionate.
Yeah, he gets away
He's
with
put
it.
it under passion.
We'll drop one more name. It's another player that's linked to your club, United, but this wasn't when he was there. Andre Onana, he missed 9 months when he was at Ajax. He tested positive for furosemide. Semidine? I
What's that?
Yeah. Fucking God knows, mate. But that was in February of 2021, and he missed 9 months of football because of that. So it's another weird one. But a lot of players that do get drug bans, mate, and having shit in their system. It's fucked. But it is what it is, you know. They're just normal people, just like us. And, normal people like us do fuck around with that kind of shit. But these guys are doing it and they get caught. Fuck around and find out. We're going to go on to the weekend football, as we usually do. So we'll start with the Saturday games. It was actually a good Saturday. There was a lot of goals across the board. Some really good games. We'll start off with the early game, which was West Ham, who were at home to Chelsea, and they got beat 3-0. I heard that the West Ham fans were booing Lopetegui as well. Not great. The same so West Ham fans, that were screaming for Moyes to be out, and they were all happy that he's come in, but it's not been all rosy since he's been there, mate.
They are. I think West Ham fans are some of the moaniest people out there. Like they always are just complaining. They want to be. They think they're bigger than what they are for sure. they think they're a big club because Bobby Moore played for them, 60 years ago or whatever. It's like,
we're still riding in that history, you reckon?
Still, big time. They go on and on and on about it. Think of how much they used to go on about. Like, I remember back in the day, they used to go on about how it was like a disgrace that Mark Noble didn't have wasn't in the England team or whatever.
England team, we didn't get called up.
I was like, dude, it's fucking Mark Noble. It's not like we're not missing anything by not playing him at all. Like he's just essentially like Jordan Henderson type, but one of them got Champions League experience and won the Champions League and stuff like that. The other ones played in the Championship and fought at the bottom. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, they wanted rid of Moyes, even though he's been their most successful manager for God knows how long.
And won them a European
trophy. Like absolutely ridiculous. Like they deserve this. They deserve it, in my opinion.
Do you think he'll turn it around?
He could do. They've got a good team still, for sure. But
on paper, the team is solid.
But yeah, we'll see. I think it was stupid.
I don't really know what's going on there. I don't know how he's not really getting a tune out of the players that he's got there. He's got a lot of attacking players at his disposal as well, which you would think would be able to do bits. But they're clearly struggling. Chelsea goal scorers Jackson with a double and Palmer as well. Jackson is literally just, that guy that's he sniffs things out in the box and he'll just be a nuisance. And that's why I think he'll get goals. He's not going to be that striker that's going to score you worldy goals, outside of the box or, clever little flicks and all that kind of stuff. But if he just keeps being in the right place at the right time, he'll carry on scoring goals, I think, for Chelsea this season. So then the next game was the next game I want to talk about was the Midlands derby, Aston Villa against Wolverhampton. Wolves were leading the game for a large spell. You know, they took the lead in the 25th minute. Cunha, then Watkins on the 73rd minute, scoring again. Konsa in the 88th minute. This is painful for Wolves. And then Duran in the 94th minute to seal the win. What a season Duran's having in terms of the impact that he's been having. That he's kind of carried on from the back of last season, the impact that he was having coming off the bench, and it seems to have carried through to this season as well. Do you think he'll be a big player for Villa this season?
Yes, looking like it. It's looking like it. As you say, he's had a really good start. I think Villa are going to have another really good season, to be honest. Whether it's as good as last year with him getting top four, I don't know, because you'll see what it's like with the Champions League schedule. But I just think there'll be some good memories in there for the fans with like the Champions League run they go on. They may have success in cups and things like that, but I think overall it's going to be a very positive season for them.
Yeah, you would like to think so. And then Emery's record as well in Europe, you think that they've got like a sturdy manager there in terms of what he's doing and you know what he's creating there at Villa. So we'll see. We'll watch that space and see how they get on. Fulham, another team that are impressing this season, I would say. It's just quietly going about their business. Newcastle, obviously, we spoke about them last week when we were saying, you know, they've not overperformed, but you know they haven't been doing well, but they were literally sitting in the top four. But they got beat 4-1. No, not 4-1, 3-1. Sorry, Jimenez, Smith-Rowe, and Reece Nelson. Fulham are doing bits, mate. You know, are you surprised? Or, you know, with the team that you can see Marco building there, you know, you're expecting them to kind of pull off these kind of results?
Yeah, I have to. I was a little bit surprised. It definitely made, you know, they brought in some good players like Smith Rowe and Reece Nelson. But you still don't. You never know how they're going to settle in and how exactly it's going to go. But fair play is looking good. They're winning games you wouldn't necessarily have expected them, or doing well in games you wouldn't necessarily always expect them to. So yeah, let's see what happens. It's obviously early doors, but they could have a good season as well. As long as, you know, they're staying up. If they are able to stay up comfortably, that'll be a huge win.
It's a poor result for Newcastle, would you say? Obviously, I know it's away from home, but a team that's, you know, that were in the Champions League and they've got aspirations of going back into that top four and trying to compete in the Champions League again. Would you say that's a poor result for them?
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of it hit home our point that we were making last week, that they haven't seemed at their best at all. And yeah, a result like this was kind of coming. It seems like but I was still shocked that it came against Fulham, or surprised, should I say? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I think they need to get going and pretty quick. Otherwise, it could. I think they said they got quite lucky with some of the results where they had win and where they were sat after only a few games, to be fair.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think I could easily see them going on like a really bad run now, because they're not playing well. And then if you're losing to Fulham, I don't know what their next sort of few games looks like. But
a few games are looking like,
we'll see.
I mean, yeah, it could be important for them. They need to probably pick themselves up quite quickly, and you know, get some points on the board again if they want to try and compete for that Champions League spot next season. Leicester picked up another decent point, you would say, against a struggling Everton. I don't know if you'd say that's a good point for Everton, or whether they should have been looking at that thinking, well, these are the kind of games again that we need to be winning. We're down there, you know, we're not doing very well. We haven't started the season very well. And they took the lead, the 12th minute. They were leading. You know, they've taken the lead, I think, 3 times this season and not managed to get the 3 points. This time they ended up going away with 1 point, but still, it's a 75-minute goal. So again, you know, the last, you know, quarter of the game, and they're not seeing it out. Is that worrying for Sean Dyche, especially with the way that they're just sat near the bottom at the moment?
Yeah, they're having a really rough time of it. If I was an Everton fan, I'd be worried for sure, because this is I mean, I'd say that I'd be nervous. What they've been very good at is they still always manage to pull themselves out of this. This isn't unfamiliar territory. Starting off seasons badly and things like that. But I love Sean Dyche, so I'd hate for him to go on such a bad run. They look at to replace him. I hope he's able to get some results because I love him being in the Prem. It's great. He's just old school. Such an old school.
They've also managed.
Manager.
I think like today as well, they've managed to potentially secure new owners as well. So it's like a dual ownership as well because the guys that are going to buy shares into Everton, they also have ownership of Roma. That's going to be interesting to see how that goes because the brand new stadium coming up that does look pretty fucking sexy, to be fair, that stadium.
But Roma's doing pretty badly themselves, aren't they? I think they lost their opening 3 games. Yeah, De Rossi got sacked.
Won the next game though, I believe.
Did they? Okay. So
won the next game. So
interesting.
They needed. It's changed. That was clearly needed, but it was weird because obviously Mourinho got sacked. De Rossi came in. They looked rejuvenated. Were winning games, getting in the results. He gets offered a contract to stay on, and then he has pre-season with them, and he has the start of the season, and it's just not worked out.
It is weird to sack someone after 3 games. Weird. Like after 10, it's still pretty early in the season, but you go okay. If you say I had 10 losses or whatever, but I don't know.
Unfortunate for him, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah, Liverpool 3-0. At home to Bournemouth, they bounced back after their disappointing result last weekend. Diaz with another few goals. He's started the season off really sharp. He's one of those players that was electric last season, but in the last third, he didn't really back it up in terms of the positions he'd get himself in, his decision making and stuff like that. It looks like he is improved on that this season. He's put numbers up again. That's a brace for him. And then Darwin Núñez getting on the score sheet as well. They had the game won in the first half. It's always those games where it was 3-0 first half and then second half there was just absolutely nothing. But did you catch any of the game and see any of the goals?
No, I didn't catch any. You know me. Not going to watch any Liverpool results. I caught the result, but as you say, Diaz. I've been a big fan of his ever since he joined to Liverpool. I was almost immediately jealous because he's
one of those players that excites you when you see him.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Like he wants to play football in the way that I enjoy consuming it.
Watching it.
It makes entertainment.
100%.
I just hate that he does it for Liverpool.
For Liverpool,
that's the worst part. But a hell of a player.
Looking sharp.
Núñez, I think he's still got potential for me. Definitely, like he's. Kind of, I could see a similar thing happening with like Diaz. Like, Núñez, a similar story. He hasn't been clinical really at all in front of goal. Gets himself in the right position a lot, but then just poor decision making, rushing.
New coach as well. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. He's still young. Like I think, but I could definitely, if he ended up becoming a striker that got you like 25, 30, or a player, makes sometimes he's a bit wide as well, but 25, 30 goals. Like, I wouldn't be shocked by that if he turns out to be one of them, because there's signs that he could be someone like that guy. So we'll just see. We'll see what happens. But
Liverpool fans would love that as well because he gets obviously quite a bit to stick on, like, and people laugh at him, a bit of banter about him as well, and how much money they've spent on signing him. So it would, I guess, it would be good for the Liverpool fans. Would have the last laugh if that was the case. We've got a couple more games to touch on for Saturday. Southampton, Ipswich. Not a big game to scream and shout about, but that Diblin looks good for Southampton. He scored their goal, and then it's quite painful for Southampton because Morsey for Ipswich scored in the 95th minute, mate. Those ones there. Even though that was a draw for Southampton, that would have felt like a defeat. Have you played in a game before where you've conceded that late?
Yeah. Yeah, It's a defeat, and it's the same for the other team. It feels like a win when you get the point, like just because it's interesting because you can build momentum off that, even though really it still probably wasn't the result you wanted, but just the way that you got the point.
You got the point, yeah.
Like if you both score in the first half and it ends a draw, you leave the game feeling disappointed. I think regardless of what team you're on, or not super happy. But then if if you get a late equaliser, it's great. And then, as you say, the opposite effect on the team that concedes it's going to be super deflating.
Yeah, definitely. We have got the Tottenham game that went on at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They won 3-1. Johnson managed to score again his second goal this week after he has been abused I think, by his own fans, really. So he jumped off Insta and he's bagged two in two. Solanke scored. He opened the score. Well, no, he didn't open the score because Brentford went 1-0 up in the first minute, mate. Then he scored in the 8th minute, Johnson, and then Maddison rounding it off for them. That was a big win for Spurs. I feel like that was definitely needed because Ange has been getting quite a bit of stick, and I think some of the fans are starting to turn on him as well.
Yeah, I think part of it is the way he's kind of handling it as well. He's not handling it very well.
Very well. Yeah.
Just seems to be like
I don't give a fuck kind of attitude, really, and you don't really
it's
see that from managers.
It's when he said, I don't know if you saw his interview with that lady. I can't remember who it was, her name, but it was. He said the quote was, "I don't always win stuff, but in my second year, I always win something." Something like that. It was just this.
They were talking about it on Talk Sport last week. It was
it was weird. It's this weird, like, I don't know, Jose Mourinho-esque attitude, and I was like, "Where the fuck are you getting off, bruv? Like, I'm a big fan of him, but it's like, who do you think you are? You're not Ancelotti or one of these guys at all."
Hey, listen, relax. You did your shit at Celtic, right? So
you did your shit at Celtic, but you joined the
and
team.
And he done it in Australia as well, I believe. Yeah, you obviously won some,
good for him. And I think he's a good coach. I love the way he sets up about football, but let's not. You also only plays one style of football, so it's just That's not that kind of mentality isn't unless you're a prime Barcelona. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily work out because someone will be able to either nullify that style, and then it's like, well, in some cup competition or something, like it's not a great way to win trophies. Is never be able to switch up. That's how England approach it, and they've got nowhere as a result, or no trophies to show for it. There's loads of examples of that not really working. So yeah, I don't know. I love you, Ange, but settle down, fella. Settle down.
And then we'll finish off the Saturday games with the Palace Man United game, which was 0-0. Ball draw. Dean Henderson had a good game against his old club. Made some good saves. Is that another shit result for United, or is that a good point on the road, considering I think they did, slap you up last season?
Yeah, I mean, that's... I still think you should... I don't know. It's just Man United not trying to be happy with a point against Crystal Palace doesn't sound right. Is that
at all?
Partly just because of where we are at the moment? Maybe that is realistic. That's a good point. I don't see it as that way. Yeah. Anyone with any ambition would want to beat Palace away.
The only big question mark as well was, why did Rashford not start? I know it was only Barnsley during the week, but when a player scores a couple of goals, and he'd scored the game before as well, so you're thinking, all right, he's confidence is up now. Would you not want to start him again and so he can carry on basically and try and pick up where he left off from the previous game? Like, do you think that was a bad move from the gaffer?
I probably would have started him. I don't think it's one of those. It's not outrageous to drop him just because he had, like you say, he's had a couple of all right games against lower opposition.
Yeah. But football is a game of confidence, and when you are,
but I probably I probably would have started him, to be honest with you. And then if he'd had a really poor first half, taken him off at half time or shortly thereafter. But I think you should, when the momentum's silly, at least give him the chance to build on some momentum. At least it's because it sort of feels, even if you start him on the next game, just that little break. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how it works for him or what makes him feel good, or what's going to work best. But yeah, we'll see. It's disappointing. It's disappointing for sure. I don't really want to go on about it more than that.
Let's go on to Sunday then, because Super Sunday was a good Sunday. There was goals in both games. We'll start off with the Brighton game. Well, there's goals in both games and red cards. So Brighton Forest 2-2. Forest ended up with a red card there. That was a good point, I would say, for Forest, if I'm being completely honest, especially with the fact that they had 10 men. But when did he get sent off? So Morgan Gibbs White got sent off in the 83rd minute. So yeah, definitely a good point, because you don't want to be getting peppered by Brighton for the last 10 minutes, just an onslaught of them coming at you with the attacking players that they had all finished on the pitch with, because they had Minte came on, João Pedro was on, Evan Ferguson was on, Welbeck. So there was players that there was players on the pitch that are capable of causing problems for Forest. So that was a good point, I would say. Did you catch any of it? And do you think also as well, the same as me, that it was a good point for Forest?
Agree with you. Danny Welbeck doing it again. Fair play. Love that guy.
This guy, man.
Guy, come on. Like, he's proven a lot of people wrong.
It's good to see it. I think people our age that, that saw him just carrying injuries a lot back when he was coming through, and there was a lot of hype around him back then as well. He was a striker that you wanted to keep an eye out for. They was expecting things of him. So it's good to see him now kind of staying injury free. Touchwood for him. Hopefully he keeps it going, man. I'd always be like, when I see him on the score sheet, I'm like, go on, D Welbs.
Same. So I'm always happy. I guess we both have played probably a similar amount of games, probably for both clubs. To be fair,
for both clubs, yeah.
Maybe more for you, maybe more for us though. I'm not. Anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, good point for Forest. Bit weird again, kind of a weird result for Brighton.
Brighton, yeah.
You would expect them to do that, but not equally not a terrible result either.
They went 1-0 down as well. So
yeah. Forest will be happy.
Then 2-1 up.
Forest will be happy. Yeah.
And then we'll touch on the last game, which was the big game, City against Arsenal, 2-2. What were your thoughts initially on the game?
Well, yeah, I'm definitely rooting for Arsenal this season over Man City. So it looked like you guys were going to do it. I was super excited.
98.
Great for Calafiori getting a goal. Saucy Italian defender. Gabriel
great
again,
finish.
just being and then and I think coming back, like Haaland scoring so early and then going and getting responding quick was great. Very much more encouraging from Arsenal. It kind of, I think you guys are a lot more confident that you can beat City now more than ever. That was kind of the approach. Obviously, I'd be interested to get, because I've got kind of an opinion on the red card, but what's your thoughts on it?
Again, it was just the referee. We say ruined the game. He kind of did, but then at the same time, what do we expect? We want the referees to be consistent. We know that like players have been, but Rice, e.g., was done for fucking around doing the same shit. So we as players of that club know that this gonna happen. Like, don't fuck around, because you are gonna get booked. Like, so it's just like it's a bit disappointing, because it's just like, well, you should have been thinking about what you were doing. That's just stupid from you. It's just so stupid. But then at the same time, you're also like, ref, man, for fuck's sake, like, cut us some slack. Like, come on, or be consistent with it, because I think Doku did the same, where he's kicked the ball away, and it's just like, well, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you guys fucking doing? It's 100%.
Annoying. I completely agree with all the points that you made. I don't think it is a yellow card, to be honest with you. I think if it's like the end of the game and you're kicking the ball away to waste time, fine. But I sort of think now, especially because they always include the time, into stoppage
time. It all
time.
gets added on, yeah, exactly.
What kind of difference does it make? Like, what difference does it make anyway? I don't really get it. So I don't think it's a red card. However, I agree with you. Like, if you're an Arsenal player, you've just watched one of your teammates get sent off, which again, in my opinion, if anything, should be a red card the other way to the guy that boots Rice.
Wiped him, yeah. He
absolutely smacks him. And it's so obvious he's not trying to play the ball. He's clearly just trying to kick Rice.
Yeah,
so obvious. Yeah. So the fact that he got sent off for that, you should be like so recently, like what, 2 games ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that you do that so soon after and get yourself sort of in one of the 2 biggest games of the entire season.
And you're doing that, and
Is
you're
that
getting
one
down
and
to 10 men. It's just like, oh, for God's sake, what are we doing?
yeah,
What are we
and that's
doing?
who you know, you never know. Like when we look back, that one single thing might be what costs Arsenal the league, or part. You know, they'll be part of it. If Arsenal don't win the league, that will be part of why not. You were winning a game and a player gets sent off.
Doing stupidity. Did you see the end of the game? It was a very heated game. I mean, it was actually like a good game to watch. I thought it was going to be a bit of a boring game, if I'm being honest. Obviously, the second half was very, very difficult for Arsenal. They did very well. They did what I think most managers do. Like the way I think about it is like if you were playing Football Manager and you've lost a player the way Arsenal did, what are you doing in the second half? How are you setting your team up? And
sure.
I think he did it fantastically well, and the boys did well with the way they carried out that second half. It's obviously just heartbreaking that they didn't see it out.
Yeah. You guys, Arsenal players will feel it's not a bad result, to be fair, drawing with City anyway.
Yeah.
At the Etihad away from home. It's not a bad result. But there's one big win that came for Arsenal, and that's Rodri tearing his ACL. That is humongous. That could be even bigger than if you. Do you think that probably even
like? Would you even say that probably even changed the game for City? Because sometimes when you lose a big player in a game, like heads kind of not completely go, but it does mess psychologically sometimes with some players. Like, oh shit, boy, that's our rock in the midfield gone, boy. This is going to be long.
It's going to. I don't know necessarily in that game. I think they're strong enough mentally to just get on good enough as well, just to kind of get on with it. But I think there'll be like plenty of games where they'll miss him, and it's how much they'll miss him now. Because he stopped so much badness. Every single team will have a boost knowing he's not. Like I said, a lot of people have him as the best player in the world right now.
Yeah,
not just the best midfielder, the best player. The best player in the world. So Losing that, it's rough. It's really, really rough. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that's fantastic. If I was Arsenal, that would be the thing I took the most from is that Rodri's now, because an ACL injury
now crippled.
Could be certainly until the new year. You think certainly until the new year?
I think his season's probably going to be done. Really,
probably close to it. But let's say, if by some miracle it's not that bad. With a tear or whatever, then maybe he comes back. For
medical team are going to be. He's going to be working with the best, isn't he? As well at City. Especially their facilities and the rehabilitation and everything.
For sure, yeah.
Did you see Haaland at the end of the game?
Two things. Throwing the ball at Gabriel's face is kind of, I don't know. Like some people love it. I was kind of just a bit like that's kind of, especially because it's like acting like, I don't know. I think I love shithousery, but I think being a shithouse when you're at a team like that, I'm like, it doesn't really fucking work, does it? Or being the underdog and then being a shithouse is great. But when it's like, you guys are just winning the league comfortably every year, like stop acting like the pricks as well. Do you know what I mean? Don't be the pricks as well. And then the whole shit. And then the whole shenanigans at the end of like, calm down, who do you think you are? Like, or whatever, all that nonsense he was saying to the Arsenal players.
I don't know why he's doing that to a little, to a young boy like Skelly as well, man. He's like 17, 18 years old and he's mouthing off to him. Then he's saying that to Arteta. I just think that was a bit disrespectful. I don't think there's any need for it. I don't know why he did it.
It's just because it's like, you're not like the rivalry's kind of one-sided at the moment, if you know what I mean. It's not like City. It's kind of just City going up against whatever team can put together a good enough squad, to challenge against them. But I don't know. It's just, it just looks. I think it's a bad look when you're as dominant as they are, and you're still then trying to be pricks about it. Not a good look. Not a good look from Haaland. I don't know. I kind of have a big thing as well with like. Maybe it's just some old-fashioned, but like I don't like players disrespecting managers anyway.
Managers, it shouldn't happen. Obviously, there are players that have disputes with managers and all that kind of stuff. Like it happens. Like in our normal life, we have that with managers.
Yeah.
But there is also a line and a level of respect that you tend to have towards your manager or a manager. So, I think that was a bit poor from him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, same.
But still got points. Fantasy league, this guy. Let's go on to our next point. We'll probably we're going to touch on the player that we were talking about who just got injured, Rodri. Are players moaning too much about the schedule? Is it really as heavy and as mad as these lot are making out? Obviously, Rodri was one of the ones to mention about going on strike. I guess he doesn't have to strike now because he's going to have a little break himself.
Yeah, he's doing that anyway. Arsenal gave him that. They said, "Go on, then. There you go, boy."
Man talks about his strike, and then he's talking about strike. Oh, it's getting too much for us. And then he goes
I do actually agree with players. Yeah, I think they play too many games. So when you look at how, yes, it's a dream life, and people are like, "Oh, just sort of shut up and play," and all that kind of stuff. But it's more like me. They get like 3 weeks of the entire year, especially in the UK, like in Spain, and they do like Christmas breaks and stuff like that and other countries. But in the UK, around Christmas, every single year, think of how much, like for me, I love the Christmas period.
That's everyone's downtime, and that's where they get thrust into.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Everyone else is having a jolly old time, like, and yet yours is like, I'm going to have to play 3 games in 5 days or or 5-6 days. It's crazy. Overload. And then onto that, like, I thought it was at the limit of what they should be doing, and that was last year. And now we've got the new Champions League format, which will mean more games, I believe, that have to play. Now, I don't feel familiar with this because I had a conversation about this when I was in the States about the new Club World Cup. Have you seen the format of this?
I've seen that as well. I'm going to talk about that on one of the episodes as well coming up, because that's another one that I'm just like, what?
So, to be fair, I actually like the idea of the competition, a proper tournament of like teams from all around the world.
The elite, the best of the best. Yeah, it's just like, okay,
I do like it. I think that'd be cool. And the fact it just runs in one country for 1 month, it's kind of like a mini. Like, I think I'll have a similar buzz like I have for the Euros and stuff. Okay. You know what I mean? Just like, I've been able to watch multiple games a day.
It's elite clubs as well. Yeah.
It's elite clubs from all over the world. I get to see players I would never necessarily have heard of, or I think I'm going to enjoy it. I think I'll enjoy it. Yeah. But
I'll definitely watch it.
But then it's still a monthly a month-long competition, which I presume on years when they have a World Cup or a Euros or a Copa America, they're going to have to play it at a different time. Where they're going to fit that in, I don't know. A month tournament, somehow in between. Because on Euros, it's Olympic years as well. So it's very... I don't know how you're going to do it. And then, I don't know, like I say, they have such little time. And you're not even allowed to take drugs? Seriously? Come on. Come on, let them take some drugs. They have like...
They can't. Model professionals, bro. Model professionals. But,
I think it's too much. I think you get worked. I think it's too much.
The thing is, look, everyone's saying it's a lot. But then what about Championship, League One, League Two? People are forgetting the amount of games that these guys play as well. And they're not, I don't really think they're not really kicking up that much of a fuss. They play a lot of games anyway. Not, so it's just like, well, what are you guys all complaining about, really and truly?
I've kind of I would argue, but typically, so in a championship, how many games are there in a championship? 42 or 44? How many is it?
44.
44, and let's say then you go through the playoffs, it's going to be an extra 3 games. 3,
then
right?
You've got the League Cup, FA Cup.
Sure, but they
EFL trophy.
But they typically will go out of those. Like, a lot of the teams will go out in those 2 of those quite early, right? So let's say it's probably around a max of about 60 games, 55 to 60 games max, I'd say, right? Any team that's in the Champions League will have, and that does well, similar schedule. Plus all these Nation League bullshit, friendlies, qualifiers, internationals. Then you're now adding a new Club World Cup onto that. And then potentially an international tournament onto that as well. Yeah, it's like that could be could be playing close to 100 games.
Yeah, we had COVID. Do you remember that thing COVID that we had, and we were dying when football wasn't on. We missed it. We missed it so bad.
Yeah.
And now it's back, and everyone wants to complain.
No, I just think I don't know. I'm not saying reduce the amount of games massively, or or I said it last week, like just get rid of the League Cup, get rid of the League Cup.
Or how about just increase the squad sizes?
That would also work. Yeah, I would also. But the problem is that if you increase the squad sizes,
get more young players coming through as well. They're like, we like.
But a team like City won't do that. A team like City will just go and buy more. Like if you see their squad is ridiculous.
Yeah, there you go.
They have a ridiculous. So teams like that will just be able to take more.
But then you're going to say that. But then if they're going to buy more players, like think about how many players are going to want to be part of that squad rotation as well. You're going to have to get that balance right as well, which is why I think like this could be great for English players to come through if they make the roster bigger. Then it just means that you've got more academy boys coming through, more chances for them, and you can pump out more talent, which is what these are always saying with the FA. They're always saying this, That could be another way to get more English players coming through the doors.
I don't necessarily agree with pumping out more talent increases the quality that you get in return either.
Yeah,
and I just think
you're right.
Yes, there could be some long-term benefits for the national team, but mate, I'm telling you, like the big clubs will be the ones that get the biggest advantage from it, and I just think overall it doesn't benefit the league. I think they should just reduce the league down to 18 teams or something. Like I think it's crazy. I'd be pissed off if I was a player.
So in answer to the question, you're pretty much with Rodri on this. You think it is probably a bit too much. Okay. We will move on to the next point of the evening, which is because Rodri got injured. I was literally thinking about it like after the game and then like today as well. Do you think now that he is injured and potentially going to miss the whole season, do City need to sign another midfielder, another central midfielder?
I don't want them to. I think it's like I said, they do have crazy. They may have to change how they play a little bit, or they haven't got that protective layer there the same way. Yeah. But I don't know. It's kind of bullshit if they just go and sign another like world-class defensive midfielder that's just going to play this season and then be a rotation player for the rest of his time, unless he somehow happens to be better than Rodri, which would be imagine how annoying that's going to be. Like he's not going to be a shit player, though. It's not going to be or even an average player that comes in. I think they'd be. I think they're still going to be.
They're going to be fine.
Well, I think they'll still be a problem. Yeah,
they've still got Nunez. He hasn't really had a squeeze, but he can come. He's a centre midfielder. McAtee, the young guy, who played pre-season, and he looks quite tidy. Grealish could probably still do a job in centre mid, but I don't think you're going to see that. But then you've got Kovacic as well.
Yeah,
will he play Foden in there? He's got Gundogan. He's got Silva. So, these are all options. I think Stones can do a little job in there as well, like if need be.
Yeah, true.
So I guess they probably don't, but it's one of those things that it wouldn't surprise me if they weren't picking up the results that they should be, but they're suffering without Rodri being there. It wouldn't surprise me if they then went out and just
I think if they dropped a lot of points, that's a really good point that you made. I think if they got to January and they were 10 points off you guys, then I could see them doing something like that then, but not right now. I think as long as it's close, they'll just be like, they'll fancy themselves just to do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll watch this space. We really don't want them to be signing any more roid players. If I'm being completely honest, we don't need to see them winning a 5th Premier League title in a row. That would be absolutely bonkers, mate. I'm not here for it.
No. Yeah.
But we are coming to that time of the show where it is about to get wrapped up, and we're going to finish off with our end game / question. So, Jimmy, if you'd like to do the honours to take us out, mate.
Yeah. Well, this is going to it's a two-parter. Okay. So the first one is which I gave you like a heads up about is what's the most embarrassing thing that's either happened to you or that you've seen from a teammate. Or it may be an opposition player, but you were there in person to see it. Okay. I can give mine first if
Okay.
you want.
Yeah, you go. You do yours first, and then I'll
Sure.
got mine.
So
Mine's is
my one is I still think about it sometimes. It's one of those things that just comes into my head, and I'm like, oh god, that was so embarrassing. So I was playing in the cup final for Twyford. This happened to me. I was playing in the cup final for Twyford. It was like just after I moved to within the first year of me moving to Reading, and we were playing Westwood, who you also know this, weren't like they were such an average sort of team. Like we would always we would slap them up in the league, and then we got to the cup final, and I was like, I don't know. Do you remember having a feeling before? I was like, I don't feel like many other people are up for this. I remember seeing around people seemed a bit nervous, which was kind of weird because we'd beaten them like 2 weeks before. We beat them like 8-0 or something like that. It was crazy.
Okay.
Anyway, so we had a really rough game. We were like trailing 4-2, and it's like late on, and I'm having actually a really good game. I'm having like one of the better games. I've completely like shut out their right winger, just dominating, bombing up and down, putting balls in, having a solid game, right? Yeah. And there was like, at this age, what would it have been? Like under 15s, I think. And after this game, I think there was like, either it was like the year above, so the under 16s were going to play their final, or maybe they just played one, but they'd all come on to like our sideline, my side of the sideline, right? So I'm bombing up and down, but I'm chasing the game and nothing's going. So I'm trying to make things happen. And still 4-2. So I'm like, but it's getting late, last like few minutes. So I'm desperately trying to get like losing. We're losing 4-2.
Oh, losing 4-2. Oh,
okay, shit. We're losing 4-2. So I'm trying to get us back in it. So that's why I'm just non-stop running, like giving everything I've got. And I remember hearing, so I was putting in good balls, like causing problems for their right winger and right back. And I remember even when I was jogging back, hearing like the older kids being like, "This guy's pretty good." Like this I was wearing I was a left back that wore number 7. Hilarious. They were like, "This number 7's pretty good, pretty good." And I was like loving the compliments. So compliments from kids that are like older than you and stuff like that. You feel pretty good. Anyway, I remember bombing down the right wing. This is late on, and I'm really tired at this point. Bombing and then. Skin like the right winger, skin the right back, and then the centre back closes me down. I kick it. It very clearly hits his foot and then goes out. Like it's a very clear change of direction, right? Yeah. The referee says goal kick, and I just lose it, right? Like I just snap at the ref. I start shouting him, but because of my age, my voice like was like deeper, but then it broke into the squeakiness, and I was like, "Ref!" I was like, what's the problem? And I just went on this huge run with this squeaky voice. And I just remember all the older kids just started like laughing at me. They were just like doing impressions of me with this squeaky. Because it started off like deep and then switch. And then I had to like run all the way back with just loads of people being like, ooh, like doing it. It was bad. I felt like such a fucking idiot. And then we lost the game. And then Westwood tried to do a kind of like guard of honor for us and like shake our hands, like pretty classy thing to do.
Trying to be here for it,
bro. I was the only player who didn't shake their hands as well. I was like just walked through like moody, and then they all started laughing at me again. I was like, no, fuck that. I was like, put your fucking hand away, and then they all just laughed at me. I was like, what was I hoping to achieve from that? Like they would go, oh, actually that guy's pretty badass. Just give Twyford the trophy. That guy's really cool. So that was mine, but what's yours?
That's pretty jokes. So my one was a story from when I was at Oxford United. We were playing at home to Bournemouth, and I wasn't starting the game. I was on the bench for that game. Comes to kickoff now, and there's no linos. So, Gaffer's asked around, who's going to run the line? Then he's looking at the subs, and I'm just thinking, oh, fuck, please, no, not me.
Yeah.
And then he's turned around, he's like, can you run the line for us for the first half, please, mate? And I'm just like, oh, my fucking God, are you taking the piss? I'm a scholar. I'm the same as all of these guys here. There's I think maybe 2 or 3 of us on the bench as well. And then obviously everyone else is starting. This is my first season as well. I've played a few games already this season, but I'm on the bench for this game. first team managers going to be turning up as well and watching at some point. They usually do when the first team were at home, because where our home pitch was, it's literally about 10 minutes from the stadium. So Gaffer would usually come to you thinking, oh yeah, first team Gaffer's going to be there as well. First team coach is going to be there. Mickey Lewis. You want to be playing, basically. You don't want to be running the fucking line. So there I am.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's saying like this guy we're definitely not using this guy in the first half. That's what it's saying. Yeah. That's basically what it's saying. Like, yeah.
I'm having to run the line. I've got this massive these warm up tops as well, because I'm fucking. You remember how small I was? Even back then when I looked.
Yeah, you were a small fella.
I'm like fucking hell, I'm tiny, mate. I've got this baggy jumper on, and then you see me with a fucking. There's a picture. It's probably on my Facebook somewhere, but there literally is a picture of me holding the flag, baggy fucking tracksuit jumper on. I've got my shorts and socks on. Obviously, I'm all kitted out, ready to play in that as well. But yeah, that's probably one of the funniest moments. Well, for other people, it's funny. For me, it's a bit of a custard moment. But yeah, that's probably one of the stories that came to mind when you asked.
No, me. that would suck. I used to always. I did it once when I got asked to run the line. Then after that, I was just like, I'm not doing it.
Everyone hates that shit, man. Even no one wants.
Like, what? It's because it's like I haven't come here to fucking be a ref, man. I wanted to play.
We're all getting paid as well. Do you know what I mean? And I'm the one that's having to fucking run the line while these are on the pitch playing, mate. Fucking bullshit.
That's no bullshit. That I hate that at the Sunday league level. Your level would have been mortifying.
And at that level as well, like, you're a scholar, so if you're saying no, if you don't do it, that's a mark against you. It's like, oh, well, his attitude's wrong. Oh, he don't want to do it. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like,
100%.
Say you have no to do either. It. So
no way, yeah, no way you could have.
But yeah, that was long. That was embarrassing. But we've come to the
no. This leads into the second part. Yeah. Dude, that was just test the scenario. Test the waters with a real scenario. Now this is a would you rather? Okay. This is a would you rather. They're always a bit out there.
I always hate these would you rathers. Fuck's sake.
All right, so let's set the scene. Okay, you're a professional player. You're playing for Arsenal. Okay, you're in the Champions League final. Okay, for Arsenal. Now, here's the scenario. Would you rather shit yourself in the Champions League final after scoring the goal? So you score the goal. That's going to be the winner. Okay. But after you score it, as you're celebrating, you have like really rough diarrhea and you shit yourself on the pitch and everyone sees it. Everybody sees it. It's so obvious. Like even all the players react. It's that, but you win the Champions League. Okay. You win the Champions League. Wow. Okay. But it's going to be remembered as the day that the guy who scored the winning goal shat everywhere. Or you play in the final. You get to go to the toilet in that, but you will lose the game. So you get to either, and there will never be another chance. Let's say it's your final game of your career. So
never be another chance.
Never be another chance. This is it.
I'm straight. I'm shitting myself. I don't care. This is the Champions League, and you're saying I'm never going to win this again. I'm an Arsenal fan. Yeah, we've only ever played in one Champions League final and we got beat, and that was against Barcelona. I've never seen my team play in the Champions League final again. So as a player, you're asking me if I can win the Champions League? Oh mate,
but here's the thing: you can't obviously, you can't when people, because you're going to be remembered for it. Like, so that's your last day. You're then going to go into retirement, and everyone's going to bring it up probably for the rest of your life. And you can't say, well, the option was. Your option isn't going to be like, oh, well, if I'd gone to the toilet, all they're just going to think is you just scored, and for some reason you scoring created extreme diarrhea.
It's fine.
That's funny.
Do you know that salary that I probably would have received for winning the Champions League as well? I'm just going to be like, you know what, suck a dick.
But you're also going to become there is no salary. It's your final game.
Bonus,
no
mate. Like obviously, you'll get a bonus. Like players will get bonus for winning the Champions League, so that'll be nice.
They'll get a bonus, but then it's
I'll be looking to turn that negative into a positive. I'll be like speaking to my agent. Let's try and get some deals with like Kleenex or something like that as well. You know, let's milk this and try and make some bread off of this as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
turning a negative into a positive. You know how I be. But in answer to your question, I think the love for the competition and the fact that that's only going to be that one time that you can win it, yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
What about you? Let's ask you.
I don't know. As weird as it sounds, I think I don't know if I could handle the embarrassment of people constantly reminding me that I shut myself on like when I look at do you remember Gary Lineker did it? Do you remember Gary Lineker?
Yeah, that's what I'm
himself?
saying. I said it. Yeah, Gary Lineker did it.
And have you ever seen anything he ever posts on social media? What his comments are?
No.
If Gary Lineker posts anything on social media, look at his comments. Everyone just writes "shat." Everyone just writes "shat." And it was dude, it was like nearly 40 years ago. And people still just wait, like 20 years before social media it happened, and people still just go "shat." And dude, he's got a brother who's like a borderline fucking paedophile, and yet that's what people remember is that he shat on himself on the pitch for England.
And he's a very well groomed guy. He looks clean and all of that kind of stuff as well. So
yeah, he's like the squeaky clean dude who pretty much gives middle of the road opinions always, and that's what people remember. And I every time I see him post and see that, I go, Gary, it's kind of pathetic that this is your life, even with everything you achieved. I kind of still think you're a little bit pathetic for it. So I don't know.
You're not doing it. Fair.
I'm not doing it. No, I think I'd rather just live my life just of being a good player, not a Champions League winning player.
Champions League oh, mate.
Yeah. And people would just be like, it's kind of weird that you went to the toilet in the final. I go, yeah, I know, but trust me, like, I wasn't gonna.
It was worth it. Yeah,
it was worth it. Not for you, but for me, it was.
Fair.
Yeah,
but no. Thank you for another episode. Thank you for jumping on. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Everyone that's tuned in and watched, I hope you'll continue to watch as we continue to try and grow this platform and this page. So love for everyone that's been tuning in so far, been following, liking, commenting, subscribing, and all of that. Really do appreciate you. So again, I will just finish off with the message that you continue to like, follow, share all of the posts that we be doing, whether that's on X, on YouTube when doing the shorts, and TikTok as well. And we are literally at top Cinco Pod on all of those platforms that I've mentioned. Jimmy, do you want to do your goodbye and your page ting as well, and we'll sign off for tonight, mate?
Yeah, thanks for tuning in again, everyone. As usual, follow me at Manzano Media on Instagram or at Jim Manzano on TikTok. And yeah, see you all again next time.
Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Take care. God bless.